Hello, everybody. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and this is my colleague, Tracy Priest.
Hello, everybody.
And we're with The Road to Retail. On our podcast, Tracy and I hope to offer tips, insights, ideas, and examples for how small, emerging, and challenger CPG, consumer packaged goods, brands can build their business. Everything from determining if you're ready to grow, where to start, how to prove it online, or how to go about securing distribution at a national retailer, driving your business through to the end consumer, or how to go about finding an investor if you're ready for that aspect. Bottom line is we would love to help you be successful by highlighting the many important aspects of this journey to establishing and growing your brand. Tracy and I have been doing this a long time. We've made a lot of mistakes, and we've done a few good things, so we're here to help you. Please follow our podcast on iTunes or Spotify, leave us a review, and consider sharing the show with a friend or colleague that may benefit from the content. Tracy?
Bruce and I have been involved in consumer packaged goods commercial operations roles for over 30 years. We define commercial operation functions relating to sales, marketing, trade marketing, broker and distributor management, agency selection and management, new product development, brand acquisition and divestitures, and customer management. We also invite on our episodes friends and former colleagues from all aspects of the Road to Retail process to come on the show and offer their opinions and experience. Again, we encourage you to subscribe to our iTunes or Spotify channel at Road, 2 Retail.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first Flash podcast. We're excited to have you joining us today. So, Bruce, tell us who we have today.
Hello, Tracy. Folks, welcome to the show. Today we have a returning guest. You might recall a couple of episodes ago, we had Rick Miller, who leads the practice focused on sales and marketing effectiveness at the research firm Big Chalk On. And they had just released some really groundbreaking research on the Tradeoff Consumer. So Rick and his team have come up with some new news that we thought would be really pertinent as we head into the big time holiday shopping season. So Rick, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Happy to be back on.
Good. I was going to say that's where you say that you're here. Thank you. And then Rick, why don't you remind the folks about who the Tradeoff Consumer is and how you guys gathered that data, and then we'll dive into your new news.
Absolutely. Really quickly and in brief. Earlier this year, we were getting calls from a lot of clients who were asking about volume sales for their respective categories that were decreasing while their revenue was still increasing, obviously due to the price increases that were rampant across the industry for the last couple of years. And they were very concerned that with these volume decreases, they were going to eventually hit a cliff and things were going to dry up. And they wanted to know how consumers were reacting to basically 3 years of relatively high inflation rates. And we went out and we surveyed about 3,000 consumers in a census balanced survey to understand their household budgets and where they were shifting their budgets around. And what we arrived at is what we call the Tradeoff Consumer. In our survey, we look beyond just CPG. We look at categories like household expenses, auto, fashion, and clothing, leisure, travel, dining out. And then, of course, we take a deep dive into CPG. And the Tradeoff Consumer is anyone who is actively cutting budget in at least 4 of the 7 macro categories that we study. And that's how the Tradeoff Consumer is defined.
Thank you.
Awesome. So let's just jump in. So you've got some great new news for us. So share with us, Rick, the research that you've done, the most recent results, and then how is that relevant and to brands today in the marketplace?
Yeah, so we purposely scheduled a refresh of that 3,000 person study to fall right after the election and going into the holiday season. And we've got some good news, but we also have some news that might generate some caution among our CPG and our retailer friends. The good news is that household budgets are actually up more than we projected. We were actually projecting a small deficit for the average household budget by the end of 2024. We have had exceptionally strong wage gains over the course of 2024, and we've tamed inflation, right? None of this is secret. It's been all over the news. Inflation rates have gone down. And between the wage gains that we've seen, we've been over 4% every month in 2024 so far. It looks like that trend will continue. And inflation's down around 2 to 2.5. That extra money that's flown into household budgets because of these gains has now created a budget surplus. We think the median household in the United States will end 2024 with a budget surplus of about $1,000, a little under $1,000. So that's really, really good news. We timed this study to understand, given the change, how is this going to affect holiday spending? What's going to happen in what's obviously, the biggest 6-week period for retailers and for CPG companies in the calendar year? We think that holiday spending is going to be okay, but not for everyone. And that trade-off consumer segment that we identified back in the spring continues to struggle. And we can go into some detail on that, of course, as you guys see fit.
Excellent. Bruce?
Yes. So, Rick, there have been some key earnings releases this week, specifically Walmart and Target. So this next topic has two parts. What's your read on what's going on at Target with their recent performance, and how do you contrast the Target performance to that of Walmart?
Yeah, so this is a really fascinating little slice of our industry to follow. When we first did the Tradeoff Consumer research back in June, our research pointed to some pending struggles for Target, because Target, as you know, contains a lot of discretionary items on their shelves in addition to all the non-discretionary stuff they sell. And based on our research back in the spring, this tightening of household budgets was going to cause a lot of downward pressure on anything discretionary. And our first published research that came out back in July, shopper propensity for Target was down, while Walmart shopper propensity was increasing. And shopper propensity to us is people who are shopping more at a given retailer over a 12-month time than less at that retailer over a 12-month time. Walmart was making gains. Target was struggling. Target did something really slick. They were very public about decreasing shelf price for 5,000, 6,000 items that are all everyday non-discretionary items. And they were loud about that. They made no bones about being public that they were making that move. And their Q3 earnings reflected that, and they did okay. They basically catered to the trade-off consumer in that regard, and they won that business. Unfortunately, it hasn't sustained. Our data continues to show Walmart making gains in shopping propensity, and specifically in that trade-off consumer segment. And Target just hasn't been able to keep up. And as you know, they had some news this week that was really not good, and their forecast is not good for the coming quarter, the end of the year either. So we think that there's some key correlations between how this trade-off consumer is viewing Target as a retailer and where they're moving to, and Walmart is reaping the benefit of that.
So Rick, one way to think about that, correct me if I'm wrong, and please add color. So Target did well because they lowered prices, and Target also carries more discretionary items. As people's budgets, either in actuality or in their minds, tightened up, they gravitated to Walmart because that's where more of the day-to-day items are purchased. As we all know, Walmart is technically the largest grocer in the US. So those people are going there more. And while they're there, they then just say, I may as well pick up this non-discretionary item here so I don't have to drive up the street and park at Target and go in. Is that kind of a poor man's summary of what might be happening here?
I think that's happening in part. Okay. Now, the other interesting thing in our data, we first picked up on this in June, and we see it again in the data that just came back last week. Consumers are actually visiting more retailers in general over the course of their weekly shop because they're searching out the best deals that they can find. So the number of retailers a consumer visits on a given week or on a given month has increased. Unfortunately for Target, they're not viewed as an essential stop in a lot of these cases, and they're going maybe to multiple grocery stores and, of course, to Walmart, as you noted, the largest grocer in the country. And it's really driven by non-discretionary need-based items and the need to save as much money as possible on those items. And right now, Target's just not winning that battle.
Interesting. Tracy?
Yeah. So talk to us, Rick, about what retail segments does Big Chalk think are going to be winners and the losers during this upcoming holiday season?
Yeah. So again, we're cautiously optimistic about holiday in general. Okay. The overall economic condition looks good, but the sentiment that's coming out of our Tradeoff Consumer research is concerning. We think that Walmart's probably going to do fine. Grocers are going to do well. Okay. What we are seeing in our data is a significant shift away from out of home gatherings and activities to in-home gatherings and activities. We predict that in-home gatherings and activities are going to increase by about 6% this holiday season. And we think that potentially that 6% is going to come directly at the expense of restaurants and bars and other out-of-home type of places where you would gather for the holidays and where you'd consume food and beverages for the holidays. So this is potentially good news for grocers. Okay, it's bad news. We have restaurant industry clients, so we don't grin and ear to ear when we see this because we have CPG clients as well. It's a little bit of, one child's doing great in school and one child's getting an F here, maybe. But we do think that that's going to be the big shift this holiday season. We do think that that grocers are going to do fine. Another piece of good news for everybody here: Santa's still going to come. The toy segment looks like it's the least affected by any of this downward negative sentiment. But most of the positives are going to come from the non-trade-off consumer segment of our economy. Now, that's 67%. The trade-off consumer represents 33% right now. It's the minority segment, but 33% is a large percentage of our economy. And the sentiment in that particular group is not good at all. And again, if there's a bright spot, they are moving to in-home, and they won't be doing as much out-of-home activity. So that's what we see in the short term over the holiday period.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. So Rick, given what you guys have seen in the initial study and now however it's evolved in this most recent gathering of the data, what actions would you recommend brands take if there is still some time to alter their marketing approach as we go into, as you said, this big money time of the shopping year when many, whether it's retailers or brands, this is make or break time, man?
Yep. There's a couple of things that they can do, especially have the ability to change their media plans somewhat on the fly. If they're heavy digital media folks, where it's pretty easy to change not just the creative, but even the flighting patterns of the media. If you're a CPG and a food and bev company, or if you're a food and bev retailer, you can invest a little more in the sprint to the finish here over the last 6 weeks or so of the year. Because if you can put that message out there hey, you can have just as much fun doing all your celebrating at home. People are going to be receptive to it. So that's something that you should do. If you are a CPG brand in, obviously playing here, and you have the opportunity to make any last minute price or promo, changes, it wouldn't be the worst time right now to be on promo. That's a little bit like preaching to the choir. I mean, pretty much everybody's already got their holiday promo planned, but anything you can do to underscore that you're concerned about consumer budgets and you're going to try and keep prices down for them, that's going to be received pretty well. With one caveat, I'll throw this in. This is a little tidbit in the data that I think is pretty interesting. If you serve a higher household income consumer segment, if you are a premium brand, we are not seeing the negative sentiment that we're seeing from everybody else. So if you are a premium brand, I think you can ride the coattails of this shift to in-home activity without having to discount very much. It's what I call the little luxury effect, meaning, well, I was going to plan to have, a big extended family dinner at a restaurant. I'm going to host instead, but I'm going to buy premium coffee. I'm going to buy premium desserts. I'm going to spend a little extra on some of the little things to really glam up my affair. But I'm still going to save money in the long run because I'm not paying $50 or $60 a plate to have people sit around a table in a restaurant.
Or more.
Yeah.
Or more.
So Rick, aside from the higher income households, like you just said, when we talk about brands that have the chance to alter, say, their digital media campaign here kind of on the fly, are you suggesting that instead of leading maybe with solely a benefit type piece of creative, you maybe lead with something around price and value?
Yeah, I would definitely do that. Okay. Obviously, almost all the ad creative you're going to see between now and the end of the year incorporates the typical themes around the holiday season, right? The snow-covered Main Street with, happy shoppers and all of that stuff. And I love that stuff. I'm a sucker for that stuff. So I hope it doesn't go away. But, if you can incorporate any sort of value messaging into those themes, I think that's really going to matter this year.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about Target and Walmart and what you guys are observing in the data and what we've all seen in the financial press. Are you, in your data, are you making any prognostications without, necessarily naming names of retailers, but do you see any particular classes of trade either thriving or struggling? I know you said you thought grocery and Walmart would be okay. Do you have any watch outs or any other people you think should probably do okay?
Yeah, there's a couple things. And at a high level, I don't know that any of this will be considered new news. Okay. The drug class of trade in our data is certainly seeing some of the same struggles that Target saw in terms of shopper propensity, right? We're just seeing shoppers not spending as much time there as they probably did in the past. And that's obviously problematic for that sector. Overall, again, probably not a newsflash. We're continuing to see shopping propensity for Amazon increase, which is, again, not necessarily new news. And we don't have data on this yet because it hasn't happened. But we do think that grocers are going to end up pretty good by the end of the year based on the other trends that we're seeing around holiday shopping.
Great. Yeah, Tracy and I we're breaking some news here, Rick. We've come to the conclusion we think Amazon's probably going to make it, and they'll probably be a force in retail.
Yeah. So prophetic, Bruce. I love it.
Bring us home, Tracy.
Absolutely, Rick. This is great insight, timely insight, and we're gonna post this next week so you guys can listen to it. And if you have time to adjust some of your promotional plans for the end of the year, this would be a good time to do it. So, Rick, tell our audience how people can get in touch with you to learn more about all the great research you guys are doing?
Well, absolutely. There's a couple of ways, and they're all really easy. The first thing, anybody who wants to reach out to me on LinkedIn, it's just Rick Miller, and I'm a partner at Big Chalk. And if you search Rick Miller and Big Chalk in the search bar at LinkedIn, you'll find me. The Big Chalk website is bigchalk.co. That's bigchalk.co, not .com. And for anybody who wants a deeper dive into the holiday data, we are going to be publishing, I think, a 2-pager or a 3-pager on the holiday data, and it'll be up on that bigchalk.co website under the Insights tab. So anybody who wants more background on our holiday work, they can go there to find it. And if anybody needs to find me, you can contact me through the website, or you can contact me through LinkedIn. And I'm always happy to chat with folks in the business.
Awesome.
Great.
Love it. The big finish, Bruce?
Big finish, Tracy.
All right. Thanks again for joining us today. Look for this episode next week. And thank you again, Rick Miller, for joining us today. And please continue to follow us on our Spotify and Apple channels, as well as on LinkedIn and also on YouTube. So happy holidays, everybody, and thanks for joining us.
Good luck out there, folks.
Thanks, guys.